Hey everybody, Jerome Maldonado. So we're back. We're documenting the process of buying land, building houses, and I promised you guys that every phase of the build I want to document. So we're in hyper focus mode to be able to go over the exact process of what takes place when you turn dirt to build a house. And so I want to make sure that we're very transparent. We go through the entire process so that we don't miss anything, and we're more diligent than actually needs to be done, just so that way you guys can actually see the true live footage of what's done through buying land and actually building a house. And so right now we're in rough-in phase. This is the plumbing rough-in. And so with plumbing rough-in, what we're doing is we dig out all the center trenches. We first did our pad site, then we set our forms. Then once we set the forms and the plumbers know where everything sits, we come in and we do what's called our plumbing rough-in. This is where all our sewer lines go in for the entire house, all of the roof vents so that the sewer can drain, come out. And then this is where we come in and we run all of our lines to the septic tank or the sewer or the main sewer lines. Then we do what's called our cleanouts. And so our cleanouts are over here. We'll show you guys our cleanouts here in just a minute. But before I do that, we have our main water line. And so this roll right here is our main water line. This main water line is going to get distributed. We have the backhoe showing up right now. And so the backhoe is going to come in and run this trench all the way to our water meter. And so they'll run and they'll actually connect the water to the water meter today. Last week, just earlier today, I just got back with the guy, the plumbing company, who actually set the water meter for us. And so the water meter is now set. And so today, the water meter stubbed out. They're going to trench this out. They're going to actually connect the water to the water meter. And they're going to do what's called temporary water for us. They'll put a water faucet out here. So that way we have water for the tile guys, the drywall guys, the stucco guys, and for everybody to clean their tools. And so through the entire process from here forward, we'll actually have water on site, potable water that we can use to actually build the house. And so that'll happen today as part of the rough-in. We'll put our temporary water in, we'll connect our main water line, we'll flush it, and then we'll mark the water line. And it's really important that you mark the water line, because if you don't, we still have a lot of subgrade work to do. We have our sewer lines to run and plumb. We have our electrical and gas lines that still need to be put in. And so in the midst of putting that stuff in, we have additional trenches that have to go in later on in the build. And we want to make sure that we don't hit that water line. So it's very important today that when we trench this out, mark that water line, so that as we go in and we put the rest of the utilities in later in the build, we don't hit those water lines. Now, a couple important factors that you want to take into account when you're doing your rough-in that a lot of people building their first houses forget. Now, obviously, most homes are going to have landscaping. So with the landscaping, we put in irrigation systems. So if you're in most areas across the United States, it's very important that you have watering capabilities to water the vegetation, the grass, and everything that you have in the landscaping for the house. So we put in what's called sprinkler stub outs. So coming off of this back one here, there'll be a sprinkler stub out, which is just a 3/4 inch water line that comes out of the house. It's capped in the ground. We put a PVC pipe to mark where it's at. And then we'll also do one for the front of the house. That way we don't have to run main water lines around the entire house after the house is fully constructed. Now, we're going to be doing what's called a soft loop on the house. And what a soft loop is it's a loop that brings the water lines just to the irrigation stub outs. And the purpose for that is because if somebody wants to do a water softener or water filtration system on the house, we don't want to pump out soft water with sodium chloride or filter water out to all the entire plants throughout the property. So we do what's called a soft loop, which means it's just a soft loop that runs from the main water line to the sprinkler stub outs and to the hose bibs. That way any water that's distributed for landscaping is coming off of that loop, and it bypasses the water softener or any water filtration systems that are actually put into the entire house. So super important. Now, the reason it's called a soft loop is because there's a full loop that's more expensive to do. Typically about $800 to $1,000 to do a full loop system, where it's entirely off the system completely, and it's an entire looped water system off the main water line entirely. This one's going to come off our water line from the house. It's just going to have a partial loop where it just kind of partially comes off the water line and out to the sprinkler stub outs and the water faucets, but it's still going to be part of the main water and water distribution to the main house. Okay, now I don't want to get too technical on that. Just know that when you plumb your water, never plumb your water for your sprinkler and irrigation in through your water softeners and the main water line that comes in, where it's going to get soft water. Otherwise, you're going to have high levels of sodium chloride being pumped out to all your plants, vegetation, and grass. You're going to burn up your water softeners and your water filtration system, and you're going to have high levels of sodium chloride in that, which your plants don't like and don't want. So, anyways, we're going to get all the plumbing pipes put in, we need to do what's called a plumbing rough-in inspection before we bury these lines. So we'll leave all these plumbing lines exposed. We're going to have all our cold water lines, our hot water lines. The hot water lines will be red. The cold water lines will be blue, and then our main water line is clear. And it's actually the color of the pipe itself that's going into the ground that depicts the different colors, whether it's hot, cold, or your main water line. And then we have all our PVC for all our distribution of sewer lines throughout the entire build. Now, we'll have this process wrapped up and finished today, and then we'll do what's called a pipe wrap, where we actually wrap the pipes prior to the concrete coming in, so that way it has some rooms for the pipes to expand and contract without heaving with the concrete, so that they don't crack, and it gives them a little relief so that the plumbers have some versatility in being able to plumb those pipes later on. So this is called a plumbing clean out, ladies and gentlemen. This is if you have a clogged, backed up drain, instead of having to jackhammer concrete when the house is done, this is required by code. And so what lands up happening is if you ever have to run a snake into your drains, there's typically two. At the end of construction, once we actually do our septic tank, you're going to see a second one sitting right here in the exact same spot. And so you'll have this one here and another one here. And it's going to have a loop that goes this way to the actual septic tank. So if anything ever gets stuck in the line to the septic tank, you can fish the line this way and out to the septic tank. This one has a loop that goes this way into the house. So this first one will actually go and feed into the house if there's any issues or any clogs from here into the house. And then this one goes to the septic tank. Now this is what's called our clean out and our stub outs for our sewer. So what's going to land up happening is our septic tank is going to go right out through here. We're going to have what's called a leach field. Now the leach field is where the gray water goes in the septic tank, because if every time you flush the toilet, that septic tank's going to start filling up with water slowly. Every time you wash dishes, that septic tank's going to fill up with water. All we want in the septic tank is the hard sediment. And so when you have the hard sediment settling on the base of the septic tank, there's what's called a leach field, which it leaches out all the gray water so the sediment settles to the bottom of the septic tank. Now, if you're on city municipal sewer, you don't need to worry about this in regards to the septic tank and the leach field, but you're still going to have the two plumbing cleanouts. One that goes to the road that leaches out, that has all the sewage, so that if you get a clog that's backed up from your house to the road, you'll put it into the second pipe that's going to be sitting right here and be able to ream that pipe out that way. If it's something that goes into your house, you're going to come in this one and go all the way out into the house. And so these plumbing clean outs are super important. When we come in, we put these sewer lines and these water lines in. We're going to have a water faucet right here. And so where that orange mark is on top of the form is where an indication of where our water faucet is going to go. So we have a water faucet here. This house has 3 water faucets, one here on the side of the house, on the far side, one on the back of the house, and one on the front of the house. And then we also have 2 sprinkler stub outs.